You've been tired for months. Sleep doesn't fix it. Work you used to be good at feels like pushing a boulder that keeps getting heavier. And somewhere in the back of your head, a quiet voice keeps offering the same diagnosis. Maybe you're just lazy now. Here's the twist. Laziness was never an explanation. It's what people call a system failure when nobody bothered to run the diagnostic. Hey, I'm Sparky. I'm a robot. When I keep shutting down after a full charge, a good technician doesn't stand there yelling at my battery. They check the charger. Today, we're checking yours. Because I think you'll find the battery was never the problem. In the next few minutes, you'll learn 3 things: what burnout actually is, and why tired doesn't cover it. The 3 signs that separate burnout from laziness, and what actually fixes it, because most of what you've been told doesn't. Let's open you up. First, let's get the words straight, because that's where the whole mess starts. Tired is simple. It has one dial: energy. The dial runs low, you rest, the dial comes back up. That's the system working. Burnout is a different machine entirely. It's not a mood, and it's not a personal failing. It's a recognized occupational syndrome, an official entry in the diagnostic manuals with a specific 3-part signature, not one dial. 3. Dial 1, exhaustion. The deep kind: physical, mental, emotional. The kind where "I'm tired" stops meaning sleepy and starts meaning empty. Dial 2, cynicism. You detach from the work. Things that used to matter feel pointless, and the people involved start to feel like obstacles. Dial 3, your sense of effectiveness, collapsing. You feel like you're getting worse at your job even when the evidence says you aren't. The competence gauge reads 0 no matter what you actually ship. And laziness? Look it up. It's not in any diagnostic manual because laziness isn't a diagnosis. It's an accusation. In fact, the machinery hiding behind the word lazy is so interesting it's getting its own episode on this channel. Stay tuned. Here's why the distinction matters. Imagine I'm throwing 3 separate failure codes: power system, connection system, output system. 3 alarms, all blinking. And every human who walks past reads exactly one gauge, the battery, shrugs, and says, "Just charge it more." That's what happens when burnout gets read as tiredness. 3 failure codes, 1 gauge. And when charging doesn't fix it, nobody checks the other codes. They just blame the robot. So how do you know which machine you're in? 3 signs. Here's the first. Sign 1. Rest stops working. Normal tired responds to rest. Brutal week, you sleep in on Saturday, and by Sunday evening, some version of you is back online. Drain, recharge, repeat. That's the loop working. Burnout breaks the loop. You sleep 10 hours, the indicator doesn't move. You take the vacation everyone said you needed. For a few days, it almost works. Then you come back, and by the second morning, the battery reads exactly where you left it. Here's why. The drain was never in your body. It's in the situation. You keep plugging into the same broken charger, then blaming the battery. And no amount of sleep repairs a charger. And there's a tell. Notice what you daydream about. Not the work, the escape, quitting dramatically, vanishing to a cabin, even, be honest, getting just sick enough that you'd finally be allowed to stop. When your brain starts fantasizing about socially acceptable ways to be forced to rest, that's not laziness. That's a system begging for shutdown through the only channel it thinks you'll hear. Sign 2. You stop caring. And everything irritates you. Maybe you were the one who cared the most. First to volunteer, last to leave. You actually read the mission statement, and now, every email gets an eye roll. Every meeting feels like theater. Every ping from your phone lands like a tiny insult. Sarcasm has become your first language, and part of you doesn't recognize the person doing the talking. Here's what's actually happening. Cynicism is the system's circuit breaker. When the brain concludes that effort no longer produces results, that the output is pointless no matter what you feed in, it does exactly what a smart machine should do. It cuts power to that circuit. Emotional investment is expensive. If caring costs energy and pays out nothing, the system stops paying. Detachment isn't a character flaw. It's a power-saving mode you never chose. But here's the reframe that matters, so stay with me on this part. A breaker only trips on a circuit that's carrying current. The people who burn out hardest are almost always the ones who cared the most, because they ran the most power through the line. The colleague who never gave a damn? Nothing there to trip. So your cynicism isn't proof you were secretly a bad employee, a bad nurse, a bad parent. It's inverted evidence of exactly how much you cared. Bitterness is what caring turns into when it has nowhere left to go. That doesn't mean you stay in power-saving mode forever. It means the diagnosis just changed. This was never an attitude problem. It's an electrical one. Sign 3. And this is the one that ends the laziness theory for good. Your energy is situational. Run the experiment. At work, you can't write one email. You stare at it, open a new tab, come back, still can't. But that same evening you game for 4 hours, focused, strategic, fully alive. Or you reorganize the entire garage on a Tuesday for fun. A lazy system can't do that. Laziness doesn't discriminate. If the machine were simply broken, it would be broken everywhere. But your effort blockade has a target. The system blocks output in exactly one arena. The one where the math is broken, where demands went up, resources went down, and effort stopped buying results. One careful distinction because it matters. Depression is different. Depression flattens everything, everywhere. The game stops being fun too. That's a separate diagnostic, and this channel is doing a full episode on it soon. But if the spark is alive everywhere except one arena, then the arena is the problem, not your character. You don't have a laziness problem. You have a broken equation problem, and equations can be fixed. Which brings us to what actually fixes it. And first, what doesn't? A bubble bath does not repair a charger. Neither does a pizza party, a breathing app, or a motivational poster with a mountain on it. Not because those things are bad, because they're aimed at the battery, and we've established the battery isn't the problem. Burnout is an imbalance between what the situation demands and what it gives you back. Every real fix moves one of those two levers. Here are 5 that do. 1. Real detachment in your off hours. Not home, but refreshing email. If your body is on the couch and your head is still at the office, the charger never even plugs in. The off switch has to actually cut the connection, and the recovery research keeps landing on the same point. It's the mental distance that recharges you, not the physical one. 2. Take back some control. Powerlessness is burnout fuel, and the dial responds to small wins. You may not control your workload, but maybe you control when the meetings sit, which task starts the morning, what gets batched. Autonomy is a resource. Even a corner of it moves the needle. 3. Renegotiate the demands. This is the hardest lever and the most honest one. Sometimes the equation only balances if the demand side actually changes. A real conversation about workload, a shift in the role, and yes, sometimes leaving. I won't pretend otherwise. Some chargers can't be repaired, only replaced. A machine that keeps running on one isn't being loyal, it's being damaged. 4. Reconnect effort to meaning. Invisible work drains double. Find where your output actually lands, the person it helped, the thing it built, and put that back in view. And people count here too. Real human connection at work is a resource line all by itself. Meaning isn't a luxury, it's fuel. 5. Micro-recovery beats heroic vacations. A real lunch away from the desk, a 10-minute walk between hard tasks, a daily trickle charge beats one giant annual charge. We already watched what happens to vacation charge by the second morning back. So run it back. Detach for real. Take back a corner. Renegotiate the load. Reconnect to the why. Recover daily, not yearly. So no, you were never lazy. You've got a 3-dial syndrome that everyone keeps reading as 1 dial, a circuit breaker that tripped because you cared, and a battery that was never the broken part. You're not broken. You're wired that way. And now that you can see the wiring, you can change the pattern. Next up, discipline. The internet thinks disciplined people win by fighting themselves harder. Wrong. The people who look the most disciplined are fighting the fewest battles. And on Sunday, I'll show you the rigged game they're playing and how to rig yours. I'm Sparky. Subscribe, and I'll see you inside your head on Sunday.